All right, hands down, Reaper is the GOAT. I'm about to show y'all the best way to do snare rolls in Reaper using media slots and in navigation to to select certain areas of a time selection to add snare rolls and selecting a track to select the name of a track and actually do the snare roll on that selected track. And I'm gonna show y'all how to do all of that. So basically, if I press one button, I got a snare roll. If I press one button, I got a snare roll. It's already done. It's already done. And it's going to play it. And if I had sequences of different VSTIs playing at the same time, the whole project would play the whole song and it would be a snare roll right there in that time selection sequence. So that's just that one. Now, let's say I'm in the fourth measure and I want to do a 1/8 triplet snare roll of the same pitch. You see what I'm saying? One button. I'm already doing a snare roll. Now I'm gonna show y'all how I did this. But before I do that, I want to show you the importance of doing it this way, because when you do it this way, you have more feasibility of being able to do it throughout the project. So you don't want to do it with a track template, because if you use a track template, you're still gonna have to copy and paste all of those media items all the way across the track and do all that extra work. Whereas if you do everything time selection based, now it's already going to do it based on that time selection in those positions, on the timeline of the ruler. So I'm going to shift my time selection right. And let's say I want to shift it right again. And I'm going to shift it right again. Now let's say I'm on the hook or something and I want to add a snare roll. So same button. It plays the item. It will play the whole project. If I wanted to add another 1/8 triplet snare roll of the same pitch, it would do that. But I'm going to show you how I did this. It's GOAT shit, man. Reaper is the GOAT. So I'm going to go to my cycle action editor and show you the actions and explode some actions so you can see what I did to do this. All right. So one of the first things you're going to have to do is create a export a media item of the actual snare roll that you have. So let's say you draw a snare roll and then you want to go to File, Export Project MIDI. And then when you do that, you want to make sure you got selected items only and time selection only. And you want to have the media item selected from the start of the item and the end of the item. You want to have that selected for that media item. And then you just want to name it and put it in a folder where you can import it into your resources, your Reaper resources, media item slots, resources. So you're gonna name that media item, call it snare roll, MIDI, or whatever you want to call it, and then hit OK, and it's gonna export it to whatever path you have selected here. You can browse and select your path and save it there. So you save it, and once you save it, you're gonna go into your resources path, and you're gonna add a slot. So you would add a slot, but first, before you do that, you need to make sure that you have media file selected from the top list of the resources window. So you want to make sure you got resources. You want to make sure you got media file selected. Then you want to right click that slot and go load slot file. Once you do that, you want to go to that same folder where you save that media item. And let's say you got a snare roll, right? So you got a snare roll, you named the snare roll, you click that, and then once you do that, it's going to import that media item to that slot number 24 right there. And so now I'm going to show you the cycle action to do this. All right, so my slot was 23 for my eighth measure snare roll. All right, so really I went to the seventh measure of an 8 measure snare roll. So it's the seventh measure because you want to do your snare roll on the seventh measure. If you're doing double time beats, you want to go to the seventh measure. So I'm going to show you what the action said. So you got move edit cursor to the 7th measure of the time selection. Now that's a custom action, so I'm going to explode it so you know what is really going on. I've got it going to go to start of time selection, move edit cursor forward 1 measure, 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 move edit cursor forward 1 measure. You're just telling it to go forward 7 measures, basically. And then what you want to do is set a type console. S means select. So console space S asterisk and then the name of that track. So my track was called Snare Roll. And then you want to put an asterisk on the end of that. So to do this, you have to right click and you have to go add, and then it creates that. But then you start typing console space S asterisk snare roll asterisk. And then it'll say real console command after that once you hit enter. So I'm going to delete that because I don't need that. But I'm just showing you the actions for the 8-bar snare roll on a 8-bar loop. And then you want to go to resources, add media file to current slot, whatever slot you selected in your resources folder, you want to select that slot. And then item navigation, move cursor to left edge of item. So you're going to move that item navigation to the left edge of the item so that you can play it. You want to be able to play it immediately. So when you do your snare roll, you can hear back. Let's say the pitch of your snare roll is not what you want it to be, or you want to see what it sounds like when you do your snare roll. You want to see how everything pans out with all the different instrumentation going on and all the different cadences of your drum patterns going on at the same time. So you want to have it playing. So you want to put transport play after you do move cursor left to edge of item. You do transport play. Now, if you haven't used the cycle action editor to do this, you have to right click on the left side. Now I got a lot of actions in here, but you would right click and you would select add cycle action. And once you do that, you would have to add an action. So you would hit add, right? And then you would go back to the actions menu. And let's say the action that you want to do, this is just an example of how to insert things into the cycle action editor. So let's say start a loop. Let's say I'm just going to select the action. So what you want to do is you want to go to copy selected action command ID, right? Once you do that and you hit add, you're going to click in the left text box right there. And then you're going to see an insertion point. You're going to hit Control V. You can't use right click paste. You have to use Control V. So you're going to hit Control V. And it's going to put the command ID number inside of the insertion point position. And then it's going to list that name of that action. Set item in to start of next item. Now, I'm not going to keep this on there, but I'm just showing you how to add an action into the cycle action editor so that you can start creating custom actions in the cycle action editor. Now I'm going to remove that. But this is the format that you want to have for that 8th measure. And you want to use that real console command so that you can go to that 7th measure. It's really the 8th measure, but it's the 7th measure of the whole 8-bar loop because you're starting on the 7th measure, but you're ending on the 8th measure. So you want to go to the 7th measure of the 8-bar loop if you're doing double time beats. And I do double time beats because I like to do those triplet hi-hats and those triplet cadences because it just sounds dope as hell. So when you do the transport play, I did that because you want to be able to hear the sequence immediately after you've added the media item. And now I'm going to show you the other one. It's called add basic 1/8 triplet snare roll with same pitch on the 4th measure of an 8-bar time selection. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. I'm not really going to upload these to the stash. I mean, I could, but I have different media slots than you do. So I can't do that for you. I would like to do that, but I don't have the same media slots that you have. So it wouldn't work the same. Now, what you need to do is, for this one, go to start a time selection, move edit cursor forward 1 measure, move edit cursor forward 1 measure, move edit cursor forward 1 beat, move edit cursor forward 1 beat, move edit cursor forward 1 measure, no seek. Then you go back to the rear console command, console, select snare roll track with the asterisk around snare roll. All right, that's the easy way to do that. And then you're gonna go to you're gonna add that action resources, add media file to current track slot, whatever that slot that you choose to select. And then you want to go to add item navigation, move cursor to the left edge of the item, left to edge of item. And then you want to do transport play. So that way it's automatically going to play the sequence of that media item. And then after you're done with that, you just press apply. Then when you press apply, it adds that that custom cycle action to the actions list. And so you would just go in there and you would find the name of that action. Now, let me go back to the cycle action editor so you can see where you name the cycle action editor. So when you hit add cycle action over here, you're going to name it right there. So you're going to name it whatever you're going to name it, right? Now, I'm not going to name this one because I'm not creating an action right now. But I just wanted to show you that you have to name it right there. And when you're done adding all the cycle actions, you hit apply. And I did all this without steps, but I only used the cycle action editor because I was using the rear console command. So that's the only reason I use the cycle action editor, because I use the rear console command. So that's it. That's how you do it. And like I said, anytime you're in a section of a song and you move in the time selection left and right, and you just want to add a snare roll, you got those media item slots that you can just easily do a snare roll with. And you can't do that in any other DAW. You can't do that in any other digital audio workstation. So this is why Reaper is the GOAT. And that's the tip of the day, man. Deuces.